Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Friday, July 26th. We are here. We're going to be breaking it down. We got a big slate to go over, and trade deadline news has started dropping with trades. Randy Rosarena went last night. Austin Hayes just got traded to the Phillies. So there could be some more stuff throughout the day. Just understand to stay on that and keep up with the news just in case one of your guys gets traded. Now, we're going to jump into it, but before we do, come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all the tools we have, the DFS, the props, and the best ball. We have our new best ball tool. It is out. I love it. I think you guys will. Come check it out. There are a few pages you can see for free to get a little bit of an idea of what's going on there. Now let's get into the slate. As always, we are going to start with the perfect lineups from yesterday, then the winning lineups and pitchers to consider for today, and some stacks. Now, let's get over to FanDuel. We will start it out over there. And we had Dylan effing Cease with the no-no yesterday. Love to see it. 64 FanDuel points. The man just had himself a day. 9 innings, 114 pitches, 9 Ks, no hits. Have a day. Have a day. And then hitting-wise, we had a 4-man Tampa Bay stack and then 3 one-offs for the perfect lineup. Tampa Bay went for 13, way more than anybody else, so no surprise we have that 4-man stack there. And then the winning lineup, of course, went to Dylan Cease. Then we had a 4-man Tampa Bay stack, 3-man Giants with a one-off of Colton Cowser, who went pretty nuts. So good job, Kicklid Freak. And let's get over to DraftKings. Of course, Dylan Cease is over here as well as Max Scherzer, who had himself a day as well with 6 innings and 85 pitches, 9 Ks, 1 earned run. And then we had a 4-man Rays stack and then 4 one-offs for this DraftKings perfect lineup. And Shady Advice got the win on DK with Scherzer and Cease. No surprise that it's the 2 chalk pitchers on DraftKings as they both went nuts. And then we had good old 5-man Tampa Bay stack, 2-man Dodgers, 1-man San Francisco. So the old 5-2-1, 1 again. That by far and away is the most profitable lineup construction. We keep seeing winners with that lineup construction. You know, majority of them every week have it. So if you're on DraftKings, you should probably be playing that lineup. Now, let's get into today's slate. And I got to shout out my Padres again. We've won 5 straight. Going for 6 today, but I got bad news. I think it's going to be a rough one, and I think we get smoked. All right, now it's starting with highest owned pitchers. We got Sonny Gray, 9,300. We got a 5-star alert score. He is 20% owned. I love this spot for him. He's been really good. Has solid upside. You can only count on him for 85, 90 pitches, but he still gets it done in that at 9.3K. You can absolutely get 30 plus out of him. It's a good spot versus Washington, who really didn't do too much against the Padres the last couple games, and I can't really expect them to do much here. Sonny Gray's averaging 42% more fantasy points at home. I do have to point out the BVP data, though. They have got to Sonny Gray before, but they've only played him once in the last 3 years, and that once was just a couple weeks ago where he gave up 5 earned runs in 5 innings, but he still had 6 Ks. So seeing that that's a 1-game sample size, I'm not going to weigh into it a ton, but got to give you that little warning. That would be my one reason to fade him in this spot. Washington has been average-ish against righties too. They haven't been that bad in the near term, so that would only be your other reason, is to not play good old Sonny Gray. We got enough pitchers. You don't have to, but I do like myself some Sonny. Next, we got Kyle Harrison. Only 6.9K, 2.1X. We got him at 4.5 star alert score. Colorado strikes out a ton. The only issue, or the only thing here, is that they've been hitting the ball hard lately versus lefties with a 251 ISO and a 337 WOBA. So they've been decent towards lefties lately, but Harrison, one, is better at home, 28% more fantasy points, and Colorado is way worse on the road. So I think there are definitely factors going into having Kyle Harrison being in a good spot today, and I don't mind using him. I definitely think he can get 20 plus in this, and at 6.9K, that value is there. So I don't mind having a little bit, but I'm definitely not going to go overboard with him. Next, we got Freddie Peralta. He, in my eyes, should probably be the chalk of this slate. It's versus the Marlins, who aren't that good. They have been hitting okay lately, but all in all, they aren't that great, and Freddie Peralta is very good. He's at home, 26% combined K rate. We know he has that strikeout upside. I don't mind going here whatsoever, and definitely going to have some of him at 9.8K. Kodai Senga, 9K. My one issue here is that we have him, that they are hoping to have him go 5 innings or 85 pitches in his debut. So, if you're on FanDuel, he's not getting quality start. He could get the win if he goes 5 innings, but no quality start, so that's the big time issue there. He is a great pitcher. I would be absolutely loving this spot, but I am a little worried about the fact that he's not going to go 100 pitches and he's going to go 85. I just do not think that he's going to have the upside on this big of a slate, and he's getting, a little too much ownership for my taste. Without that upside. He has a 5-star alert score. He's in a great spot, but I just can't do it with him being limited on such a big slate. George Kirby, I absolutely love this spot for George Kirby, with the exception that he is away. He's averaging 40% less fantasy points away. We know he just does not strike out the same amount of batters away, but at least he is in an absolutely amazing spot versus the White Sox, who are terrible. And they might as well trade Tommy Pham, because Tommy Pham can hit, and I feel like somebody could use an extra outfielder on their team at this point. But look, they're only hitting 200 over the last 20 games versus righties. 117 ISO, 258 WOBA, striking out at 27%. They've just been absolutely awful. And Kirby has been amazing. 155 FIP, 27% K rate. I like Kirby in this spot. Definitely going to use some of them. Win at 2.2x. Nestor Cortez, Nasty Nestor. I think this is an interesting spot for Nasty Nestor. Now, this is another spot where he has been way worse away. Almost 65% less fantasy points away. But Boston can't hit lefties. 28% K rate, low 300 WOBA, 140 ISO versus Cortez here. And over the last 20 games, it's more of that same for Boston, but they're striking out 32%. They can't hit the ball hard, but and they're at home, which is a good hitting park. But I think Nasty Nestor is in an interesting spot here, and I don't mind having some of him here. He's done well versus Boston this year. Went 6 innings, 1 earned run, 8 Ks earlier this year. He did well versus them last year. I'm absolutely interested in some Nasty Nestor at a little lower ownership here. Next, we got Yusei Kikuchi. Now, Kikuchi has finally been hitting well, but it is a tough matchup. Rangers have been hitting lefties pretty well. hitting 290, 160 ISO, 375 WOBA. Kikuchi is a guy that is a little bit streaky, and he looks like he's pitching good again. So I don't mind a little bit of him, but I am a little worried about this spot. I wish his price was a little bit lower. I don't think I'm really going to get to him, but I don't mind if he's in a few lineup. Drew Thorpe versus a team of backup catchers. I'm in. 6,600 is too cheap for this guy. He has 4 of his last 5 starts over 20. Seattle offense is awful. Not sure if Randy Rosarino will be in the lineup for Seattle or not. But if he's not, you got no J-Rod, no Rosarena. There's upside in this. I mean, this team is either home run or strikeout, and I'm going to just favor the strikeouts at 6,600 and going low owned. I am very intrigued with him as being a low owned value option. Mackenzie Gore, 7,500. The Cardinal offense doesn't scare me that much. They haven't been great versus lefties. The only thing in their favor is the fact they don't strike out much. Gore hasn't been great lately. However, he has been pitching better than his ERA shows. I don't mind getting some Gore in this spot. I think 7.5 K for the upside that he has shown is just way too cheap in this situation, and he's getting no ownership. So he's definitely in the value pitcher category that I would possibly use on DK. Andrew Heaney is more of the same. He's been pitching good lately. There's 20-plus point upside, absolutely. 26% K rate over his last 5, 23.5 over his last 20, 4 or 3.63 FIP. StatCast data is a little scary, but really the Blue Jays don't scare me. The only thing they got to worry about is Vlad, who is just red hot right now. If he's able to get Vlad out, I think that Heaney is in a very good spot for both a win, some strikeouts, and some upside in a spot where he is very, very cheap. G-Rod, great pitcher in a tough spot versus the Padres, who've been hitting well, and they just don't strike out much, so that's a no for me. Charlie Morton hasn't been pitching great. Mets have been hitting the ball well. He's averaging less fantasy points away. I think there's just a lot of negatives for Morton in this situation. Braves have been on a total downfall. I think they've lost 5 straight. So exact opposite of what the Padres have been doing lately. So I'm sorry, Ryan, but your Braves have not been playing well. Kyle Freeland pitching much better than you'd expect lately. 3.41 FIP over his last 5. Because he's 5'5", if he gets in the lineups, fine. It's not like San Francisco really scares me in offense, but he is averaging 85% less fantasy points away, which is crazy because his home is in Colorado. Fine. It's just that he's so cheap. That's the only reason I'd really consider him. Framers versus the Dodgers, he's only 8.2K. I don't love it. Brady Singer. Singer's my low-owned option that I'm actually pretty intrigued with. Wind is blowing in decently. It is warm in Kansas City, so the ball may fly, but Brady's averaging 64% more fantasy points at home. At home, in favored games, averaging 23 fantasy points. He's only 8.1K. If you told me he was getting, 23 at 8.1K, I would just take it and move on. He's a solid pitcher, 3.93 FIP over his last 4, 3.29 over his last 5. Not a ton of strikeout upside, but when he gets it going, he still has a solid ceiling. He can work deep into games. This Cubs offense doesn't scare me. 226 over the last 20 games, 151 ISO, under 300 WOBA. I don't mind getting some Singer in this spot. We got him at 2.3x and a 5-star alert score, and he's going unowned. Absolutely intrigued to go there. Gavin Stone versus the Astros. Stone's been better away. He's shown some upside, but I just don't think the K upside is there in this spot in such a giant slate. One thing I got about say about Adam Mazur is he's awful versus lefties, and Baltimore literally could have like 6-7 lefties in their lineup tonight versus Mazur, and I think that just spells a lot of trouble. This guy has given up 5 runs versus Seattle, 4 runs against Texas, 4 runs against Washington, 3 runs Milwaukee, 8 runs versus Arizona. He has just been kind of batting practice. So I think Baltimore stacks are definitely of interest tonight. Let's get over to FanDuel. Check out the pitchers here. High-owned pitcher, Freddie Peralta, as I think he should be. Kodai Senega, only 8.5K, but if he's only going 5 innings, doesn't have that quality start, I can't pay 8.5K for him. And at high ownership, I am out. Next, Sonny Gray, 10.8K. He has all the upside in the world. I'm definitely intrigued with him and a lower owned option. I like it. Nasty Nestor at 7.8K in a good spot. The only thing he's really got to battle is that 49% less fantasy points away. We know he can have a good game away. He just hasn't done it lately. So it is, not my most favorite thing that he hasn't had one of his spike games away this season, but I don't think he's really that much different away as he is at home, and it's a good matchup, so I'm going to fire up some Nasty Nestor. George Kirby, another guy that is away, but in a great matchup. I'm going to definitely fire up some good old Kirby there. And 8.3K for Mackenzie Gore in a spot that I like. I am in on and going to try and get some of him, as I will Brady Singer. Brady Singer just has too much upside and going too low owned for me not to want to play him. I very intrigued with him. Andrew Heaney is a little bit higher owned than I would like on FanDuel, or else I'd be trying to push some of him as well. If I get a little bit, fine, but I'm not going to try and push it hard. And Drew Thorpe at 8K. He can get you 40 at 8K, so I'm at least a little bit intrigued there. I wish he was slightly cheaper because I just much prefer Nasty Nestor in this spot at a cheaper price than I do Thorpe, even though we have Thorpe slightly higher projected. I think that's just the fact that he's away. If it wasn't that he is away, this projection would be much higher in my opinion. So yeah, let's get into some stacks now. If Baltimore isn't on our stacks today, I would be shocked. I think they're in a great spot and probably the highest total on the day, unless either Yankees or Boston have it. All right, so highest ceiling, Oakland versus Carson Fulmer. Fulmer's been solid as a starter so far, but it's a very small sample size. Anything can happen. The bullpen behind him is bad. Oakland's been crushing. Just Lawrence Butler, we got to take a look at what this guy has been doing lately. He has just been absolutely crushing it. He has, over like the last month, 43 extra base hits or total bases, and nobody's within like 10 of him. He has just been on absolute fire for the month of July. So he's absolutely on board once again as a possible hitter. Oakland's been hot. I don't mind going there. Let's check out some high-owned stacks now. Also, I like the fact that Oakland just isn't that high-owned. And they're a later stack, so you got a little bit of a late hammer. Always enjoy my lineups going up instead of down. And Yankees, the highest owned versus Brayan Bello. Look, Bello can put it together, but it's not the easiest park to pitch in. And he has a FIP of 5 over his last 20 starts. FIP of 4.41 over his last 5. Only thing is Yankees just haven't been hitting that well, so I don't love the Yankee stack. I don't hate it. Very surprised they are the highest owned. I would be slamming Baltimore over the Yankees personally. Now our highest projected stacks. Yankees also, which it is surprising to me, but hey, the projection system knows something here. Royals are also popping up against Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks kind of is a Jekyll and Hyde, either can limit guys or just gets crushed. I think the Royals are an interesting spot. Baltimore's popping up a little bit, and they're not even that expensive of a stack, which is interesting here. And like I said, Mazar versus those lefties, he gets absolutely crushed. There's going to be a ton of them in that Baltimore lineup. So definitely favor the lefties a little bit. Now, let's head over to value. And when I say I favor the lefties, I do, and I would want more of them in my lineups than the righties. However, I still want a couple righties. They're going to have guys with runners on bases to try and do some work, so don't forget about the righties. Freddie Peralta versus Miami is popping up. I don't love the spot for Miami, but there is going to be big-time leverage, so I'm not going to forget it, especially with the value showing up. Angels versus Blackburn. I don't mind that either. Blackburn, 5.52 FIP over his last 5. However, he has been on the IL for a while. It is his first start back. Who knows what happens in his first start. Kyle Harrison's popping up versus Colorado. Another little leverage stack on DraftKings due to Harrison being a higher owned value pitcher here, which, I mean, picking on the value, high owned value pitcher with your stack is never a terrible idea. Now let's click on teams to get a little overview here. So highest implied total, we got Boston and New York, both at 5.1. I like them both. Both pitchers giving up hard contact. Both pitchers giving a high average exit velocity. The Boston bullpen's a little bit worse than Yankees, but Yankees have given it up a little bit lately. So I'm good for either one of them. My favorite stack has got to be Baltimore today versus Adam Mazur, who has a FIP of almost 6 and giving up 43% hard contact, high average exit velocity. Baltimore hits the ball hard. The Padres bullpen has not been good. The only good part of it has been the closer. And then Estrada, who is the setup man, is decent, but he gets shaky also. I absolutely do not mind some Baltimore stacks picking on my Padres. It hurts to say it, but I love it. Angels, 5 total, as well as Oakland. This game is going to be a popular one to stack. Angels bullpen is worse than Oakland's. And Royals versus Hendricks. I think that's a very interesting spot as well. Outside of this, there's several places you can go. Arizona versus Pittsburgh. Arizona's been a hot offense. San Francisco versus Freeland is an interesting one. Freeland has been pitching very good lately, but their bullpen is bad, and his body of work over the last 20 isn't been good. Then we get down here, and we got the leverage stack options here. If Senega is really going to be high owned, I don't mind stacking against them. That Mets bullpen isn't very good. While Atlanta offense has been awful, they still can put it together. And Senega, we know, is going 5 innings or 85. So we're going to get some Mets bullpen there. I don't mind doing that a little bit there. And obviously, you can always go to the Dodgers, even though they only have a 3.9 total. Mets, also, you got to think about. Morton hasn't been good lately, and the Mets have been hitting. So those are my favorite stacks. Those are my favorite pitchers of the day. Let's have a day. Good luck, guys, and I will see you next week. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Helps us a ton. See you all later. Come check out the best ball. Peace.